Svetlana, how are you? I hope you're well. I know. I should have called you directly sooner, but there's been all these other things that have been going on. I didn't want to give an appearance of a conflict of interest. Yes. Well, I mean, we're dealing with the post-Doma world, and all the losses that were mischaracterized, and now apparently I have two mothers, and they're fighting against each other, and one of them wants me to go with her, but my whole thing is I can't go with you because you're using the name of the other mother, and because you're using the other mother's name, it actually looks like you're committing a crime, right? Yeah, remember that whole story about how there was that astronaut that got busted because she was using her wife's accounts from space? Yeah, Svetlana, it's really at that level. Yeah. And the thing is, truthfully, you're kind of in a pickle here because it's kind of like the two moms case, right? Because in order for you to actually be able to enforce your claim in that election, you're going to need to get the data from the rest of what did not go to the other candidate to back you. Yeah, I mean, just because you had the majority interest in that which was excluded from the total account that allowed for you to be the one that actually legitimately won, well, that isn't going to hold unless they agree to cooperate with you. And see, that's the whole thing. Yes, you did. Yes, you did. You did win the election. You won the election because in the summer of 2018, somebody actually set it up to corporatize campaign elections after they had beta tested it for a few years. And you won the hedge, but you only won the hedge through exclusion, i.e., you only won the hedge because your majority stake in what did not go to the primary opposition ended up meeting the hedge. But it wasn't you alone. Yes, this is the thing. See, in the United States, they only really acknowledge Democrats and Republicans. So we don't really get that. That's a little different where you are. Yeah, right? And see, there was that like point difference, but I made the point difference. And at the time, I would have been willing to give that to you. Now, if you're going to be concerned about foreign election interference, then you're going to have to, take into account and really specifically discuss matters related to expatriates, including, what it means to be an expatriate and maybe be eligible to vote in an election in the home country. Right. And with all of these matters that have been discussed regarding election interference in the United States, nobody's really even touched that. Well, they certainly haven't touched that because if they touched that, then they'd have to get into their foreign origin money laundering problems, right? The distinction between what it means to be domestic origin and foreign origin money laundering. And then it's going to get into considerations of securities fraud, like securities fraud involving things like, birth certificates. Yeah, and so that whole thing with which mom was the birth mom and which mom was the adopted mom, or were both mothers adopted mothers? And if both mothers are adopted mothers, do they have the same and or equal claim? Because we haven't even dealt in this country with what it means that so many equity holdings between men and women who are married are primarily in the man's name, and then the woman just, I don't know, carries his purse. Yeah, that's why I don't do purses and I don't do handbags. Right. I'm trying to figure that out, right? I mean, I've been going with attaché case, but you know, I think I'm supposed to say it's a leather briefcase. I'm about to go there, Svetlana. You need to know this, right? I'm just a few days off from actually going there. Well, in the meantime, I thought I'd go ahead and confirm. It's been nearly a year now. Yeah, it's been nearly a year now. And, when these deadlines come up, I don't want you getting a year in a day. That's why I'm telling you this right now, right? And so I kept track, and I was keeping track of things concurrently. And it's like one of these things where I was not personally, eligible to vote. But the way it was working and the way it has been working is that there is this sort of election monitoring. Yeah. And in the course of that election monitoring, just fair and square, that's basically what happened. And nobody wants to admit that. That's why you won. You won the hedge, but only if you can get everybody else to go on the record with what actually happened. You didn't get the majority of votes, and the interference was much more comprehensive. Now, the problem is, I know this. There are some people in really significant situations right now, and you happen to be in the right place at the right time. But they set something up in October of 2019, and that's something I'm pursuing, right? Because it kind of interfered with what I was trying to do. Yeah. And exactly. That's why we need to get this taken care of, because you actually have access to exactly what I need to be able to deal with my emergency situation. And that's why there's no point in trying to mess around and obscure what's really going on. The politics, I mean, the politics are the politics. But if you're actually the kind of person that has the bearing, that is capable of following through on what you started, then you understand the simple logic in addressing this directly. I did. I kept track, and I believe at least the information that I've already acquired, insofar as it matches with what I've recently acquired, it does substantiate this sort of situation. My concern is that what's been happening, though, is a lot of illegal inverse indexing. And when they did that big swap last year and nobody really revealed what it was, that what they did is they took a lot of things that were intentionally set up here and they tried to underwrite it into what was going on over there. But the thing is that it was a swap, right? So that means that there were things going on over there that were set up in some manner, way, shape, or form, and were underwritten into what's going on here. You know, like the pension system. And it would have really behooved somebody, including and especially a woman, I'm going to let you know, to have been honest about what that is. And so it's one of these things. Are you actually getting support on the level of a statesperson and a head of state? Or are you being handled? Right? I wouldn't handle you, Svetlana. All right. Well, I hope you have a good day. And if you want, give me a notification that you would like for me to call again. Otherwise, I will continue in my own course of action. And if it comes up as necessary to contact you formally, I will. Thank you.